The matrix presentation will start with 15 multi-word symmetrical terms about the main vertical term. All the terms crossing and sharing a letter with the vertical term relate to the vertical word that they cross. Together, they all are part of the kosher story that the matrix is telling. A special section will be dedicated to the kosher four-legged animals as found in the matrix at their lowest skip, combined with their extensions and other references explaining why each animal is kosher. A similar section will be dedicated to the non-kosher animals as outlined in the Bible. There will be no doubt in the matrix that the matrix is telling us that the animal in question is kosher. Next, a deeper examination of the matrix will deal with related issues to the kosher food, and finally, the moral issues and messages of the matrix will be illustrated. It is fascinating and incredible to see numerous symmetrical terms, numerous redundant messages telling us the same thing in a different way, numerous animals specified by the codes correctly as kosher or not, many coded messages agreeing with various Torah messages elsewhere. In some cases, the same long term that gives a message when read from left to right gives another related message when read from right to left. The handling of two biblical requirements at the same time. One is the requirement to eat kosher flesh. The other is to keep the covenant by a sign in our flesh, i.e. circumcision. The moral issues and where the matrix is leading us, all within the framework of Orthodox view. What do people mean when they loosely say kosher? Typically, they mean acceptable, correct, etc. However, kosher food refers to a ritually pure food. What do we eat kosher? Why do we eat kosher food? The Orthodox Jew eats it because of the commandment. However, according to some of our sages, we are allowed to try to understand some of the reasons behind the law. The codes in the matrix under investigation outline the kosher laws just as they are presented in the plain text in the Torah. In both cases, there is a request for the authorities to speak to the holy nation to explain how to recognize the sign of kosher animals and non-kosher animals. In the Torah, the authorities are Moshe and Aaron. In the matrix, which is designated for today's audience, the authorities are the rabbis specified. In both the Bible and the matrix, many examples are provided to specify kosher and non-kosher animals. On the other hand, the matrix goes beyond the text Bible in reference to kosher food in general, and not only which are the kosher animals. For many years, the author used the same methodology to investigate the codes as is outlined in the book Bible Codes Breakthrough. A few of the remarkable matrices were featured on the History Channel labeled Apocalypse. Under the strict methodology rules, there is no room to choose terms or pick up words to make up sentences. Incredibly, over 70 animal names terms were investigated within the matrix, and without exception, one of the three results were obtained. The animal was correctly identified as kosher, as non-kosher, or there was no indication at all. The odds are astronomical for this to happen at random. Why is this matrix special? One must appreciate the special feature of this matrix to grasp how extraordinary it is. It had to be designed in detail to introduce such a vast amount of information in a coded format. Where can you find such a matrix with so many details in such a design telling us what we know to be the truth. A few examples will follow to illustrate 7 such extraordinary features. The examples are brief and not fully developed at this time. Furthermore, there are many more terms that exhibit those special features. Before we look at the examples, let us look at the matrix where the big majority of all the terms are found. In a few cases, the terms extend beyond the boundaries shown here, but the terms are still statistically significant from my experience and are very relevant. The matrix begins at Deuteronomy chapter 27 verse 5 and ends at Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 46. The gray shaded letters in the matrix indicate the beginning of a new verse. At the bottom, in the middle of the matrix, we find the key term kosher food. The letters are white on a red background. At the opening of the presentation, we saw many terms that appear in symmetry across its vertical axis. Finding independent words in a matrix can be impressive. However, when words, or better yet phrases, share one or more letters, it is by far more meaningful. Look at example 3. The two phrases here are very impressive as they are sharing letters. There is no misunderstanding of the message and its impact. Do not eat your donkey and the pig. There are many phrases that share letters throughout the matrix. The phrases come together from verses in the Bible that are far apart and from letters that are far apart with such skips as over 600 letters. The terms are powerful messages complementing one another. Do not eat. What not to eat? Why not to eat? What would happen if one does eat? The matrix tells us that your defect is eating everything. This is fittingly found crossing the terms and the pig, who is notorious for eating everything. But it also suits the one that cannot resist not following the covenant that forbids some food. The matrix told us not to eat the pig and what is our weaknesses. It now informs us that this is a curse for the one that indulges. It doesn't specify the problems, but physical and spiritual consequences do come to mind. When we extend the term and the pig, we get the term and the wild pig. We can now see that the terms and the pig and the term and the wild pig share many letters. We will see many more such examples of two terms sharing several letters and giving different messages. The term and the pig share letters with two terms. The first term is do not eat from it. The second term has the letters zayin and of chazir shared with the letter zayin of the term lazan bo, or in English, to the one that eats from it. All the curses shall come upon you. The term appears horizontal as surface text, but the first letters are used differently to convey a different message. This is in line with example 1, two or more independent terms telling the same thing. To illustrate example 3 of the same animal appearing more than once, we can see that the word donkey appears in the matrix on the bottom right on line letter R. The term states the donkey, oh no. As opposed to gorging everything, the matrix is trying to emphasize eating the fitting and the perfect. The presentation of 4 such terms follow one another like a train had to be by design. However, for good measure, 3 more terms are added to enforce the impact.